Yes, Dracoff. Oh, yeah, that was good.
Actually pulled off.
Yeah.
So for the first time, the three guys from Knowhere are doing a movie that we saw in the theaters.
Opening night,
Black Widow. Welcome. We're here to talk about movies like we always do.
From the Ritual Chamber.
From the Ritual Chamber. This one's exciting because we got to see it on the big screen, popcorn and soda in hand, and the MCU is back in the theater. What do you guys think?
Go ahead. Yeah, so I really enjoyed this movie. Like, I thought it was fun. My expectations were kind of low going in because, unfortunately, I don't think Scarlett Johansson can carry a movie on her own. And so,
out the gate?
you know, well, hey, it's my opinion. You asked me what I thought. I'm giving my opinion.
I'd watch her doing her taxes.
But you know, that being said, overall, like, I really did enjoy this movie. I thought that the supporting cast was very good. It allowed her to have her moments to shine, which I thought was good. It was a good send-off to her character. Action scenes were enjoyable. Some of them were a little bit over the top. But overall, I mean, it far exceeded my expectations for what I thought this movie was going to be, especially after the reason, like, why would Marvel continue to delay this movie to come out if they didn't feel that it was good enough to put it out when theaters were opening up and movies were getting put out?
Yeah.
So really, like, for fan service, I'm thinking, well, do they really back this movie? Do they really support that it can really, like, you know, have the weight to be back in theaters during a time like COVID, and then especially now into the time that we're at right now? So, but that being said, I enjoyed it. I thought it was really great. It was a fun movie.
Yeah, I agree. It was a great movie. Like I said, I'll watch ScarJo doing anything, but she didn't have to do it all on her own. We got a surprise. One of the supporting actors turned out to be a fucking star. Florence Pugh came out and killed it. She was amazing. Jeff's always been a Florence Pugh fan. That's hard to say.
But don't watch Midsommar.
Oh, you're wrong. Midsommar apparently is a good movie. I haven't seen it. She was good in Fighting with My Family. Good flick, good role for her. This was fucking amazing. She killed it. She did a great job. She was likable, endearing, great at fight scenes, very sexy, you know, adorable. Absolutely loved her in the movie. The storyline was great. The explanations. We got explanations of Budapest. We got explanations of the Red Room. We got explanations of how this whole apparatus, what made the Black Widow the Black Widow. And as you said, she got a great send-off. She was sent off in a way that we didn't really get in Avengers. You know, does she have family? Yeah, us. And Hulk throwing the fucking chair, and them kind of expressing their mourning. For a moment, they've got bigger fish to fucking fry. Yeah. Now we got to see some background of her, and then her finishing things up, and we get to see like a headstone, an actual moment of somebody mourning. So that was really cool. Yeah, I like the way that all went down.
I enjoyed it a lot. You know, not again. I haven't said anything yet.
He doesn't know that yet.
I will say
you don't know that yet.
I will say I enjoyed it a lot. I don't think it was worth the wait. I think they could have put it out last summer on Disney Plus and still made a boatload of money. I understand why they waited, because it is it's the MCU, it's a Marvel tentpole, and especially with all the stuff the TV shows they already had planned to line up and send out. They didn't want to do that for this, but it wasn't exactly worth the wait.
Yeah.
I love that Black Widow and Scarlet got their own Well, it's Black Widow got her own movie.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
Well, I like you got fumbled on there because there's like fucking 40 of them.
Well, no, because I said they. Yeah, you're right. You're not wrong.
You were saying they are, or they're THEIR?
THEIR. Because there is in like Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow, two different people.
Yes. But in the cinematic universe, they are one person. Yeah. So.
But actually getting a Black Widow movie, and like you said, getting kind of an actual send off. I mean, I disagree that we got a send off in Endgame. I mean, that's one of the most
on a cement chair was pretty cool.
No, I'm just talking about that scene with her and Hawkeye. That's one of the most powerful scenes in the movie.
It really is.
It's up there with, you know, the Iron Man saying I am Iron Man.
Which makes more sense now, though, because now we know she got some kind of closure with her family and all that shit. So now, her saying, it's okay, let me go, makes more sense.
Yeah, my only take, or hot take, whatever, it just wasn't worth the wait. Like, I think we could have gotten this last summer.
On that
should have gotten it last summer.
Do you think this could have been the anchor for the post-Infinity saga? Now, we've been anchored by WandaVision started us off.
Exactly.
And we're going,
Yeah,
you think this movie could have been the anchor? I don't think so. I think this is a good second step to what we've already seen.
And I agree with you in that because I do think that, okay, Spider-Man Far From Home was the, or,
it was technically the end of the third phase.
Yeah, but that was like the last thing that we had prior to COVID. Like, I remember going to see that movie when COVID was happening and being like, oh shit, what the fuck's gonna happen? Like, nobody knew it was gonna happen. Yeah. So then you think that Black Widow was slated shortly after that.
It was.
Yeah.
And they put it on hold because nobody knew it was gonna happen, right? And then they kept pushing it back and pushing it back. And to Andy's point, which I agree with, I don't know if my first introduction back into the MCU would... I don't know if this would be the movie that I would want to see.
Yeah, it would still be good, but it would have fallen...
Yeah, I think it would have fallen a little short.
You're not entirely wrong.
WandaVision would have been... Yeah, was the best introduction back into that post...
Into this new
kind of
COVID
world.
You're not wrong. I think my only opinion on that is just that... Again, had we gotten it...
You just hate that you had to fucking wait a year. Yeah, I do. You're just really bummed.
I do. I will just say that to my point, he always, all hail Kevin Feige. All hail Feige. To my point, had it come out, like, let's say COVID not happened, that would have been the next movie before WandaVision. Maybe WandaVision would have been airing around the same time, I think. So I would have still been fine. It's just I don't think it's exactly worth the wait. But that being said, let's get into some characters, some action, some
themes,
awesome things exploding.
Some themes.
Let's talk on some themes.
By the way, real quick, we have to do this. I know this probably won't be posted for about a month, but spoilers.
Hey, whoa, hey, don't.
Shots
no,
fired.
that's not.
Shots fired.
I'm honestly doing my best here. Give me a break. Yes,
just in case.
It'll probably be out in like
just in case Josh decides to post this one first.
Yeah.
Into some themes though that you really wanted to address. Let's hear it, Andy.
So something that we discussed earlier, and we'll start because this is how the movie starts, is these deeper themes of what the Red Room means, and we can go into sort of the breakup of the Soviet Union. At the very beginning of the movie, they're in Ohio, and it says 1990, and David Harbour gets a call. No, it was 1990. 1990. The only reason I remember this is because I looked over at him and said,
"It's
the wall
It's 95."
fell.
I agree to disagree from grown-ups of opposing clans.
Just do the math on Scarlett Johansson's age.
That's why I knew it was 1995, because I was like, that doesn't make sense. What are they trying to make her like? She's like in her like early mid-30s. So anyway, go ahead.
Google.
So we get that moment, and I looked over at Jeff and went, "Oh shit, the wall fell." That's what I thought was, the Soviet Union was dissolved, and that's why shit's getting weird for their sleeper family. But beyond that, you have that moment on the airstrip where young Black Widow is protecting her daughter, and then is that already on Google even? Is it 1995?
All right. Anyway.
Which seems weird now.
Which is why I thought it was weird. That's why I thought it was weird. So I'm just saying.
I'm telling you, it said 1990.
I'm telling you right now,
there was a Berlin Wall fell in 1995.
We did drink 2 pitchers of beer right before going to the movie.
And I had a beer. One beer.
I know the difference between... No, in 1995, we were in fucking Kosovo. 1991, and I've had fucking 5 beers tonight, so what does that tell you?
When you were in Kosovo, were you taking it too fast, or were you taking it real slow?
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Is
wow.
he tripping? Wow.
That was a good one.
So, anyway,
let's
hear what you got to say, though, about it. We'll start to get into the themes.
Did we ruin his point? I think we ruined
Basically.
his point.
The end of the Soviet Union was what I thought was the deal, and I'm sticking to my fuck guns. It said 1990. Anyway.
Whatever. I think what they were running away from is that they just finally completed the mission. They were just running away because they blew up. They say later they blew up.
He gets that little key card.
Yeah, he gets the key card, but they blew up the hospital or whatever the fuck it was.
They did something, and cops come to run in as they do, but then the big point is what it trails into after that. It trails into that intro with that creepy version of "Smells Like Teen Spirit" and that ominous kind of, which is we've talked about this before. It's kind of a fad in movies these days.
Yeah.
There's those get a female singer, get an early '90s, late or mid '80s song, and do it real slow and ominous, and it's gonna fucking nail it every time.
Yeah, every time.
And
because you can't not. Like,
but then they did this. But then they did this to a montage of child trafficking.
Oh my god!
And it was really hard to sit and watch with your 6-year-old daughter.
Mind you, my 6-year-old daughter is sitting there next to me. I'm like, oh yeah. child trafficking is a thing. I might have to explain this later.
Yeah.
This is the norm of the era that we live in.
Yeah, I remember thinking, I was like,
Don't be scared, though.
Is this going to be a darker movie than any of us were expecting? No, it ended up going into being just a good old MCU movie. It wasn't too dark or heavy. But it did have some of those heavier, more multinational foreign relations types of notes that we got out of Winter Soldier.
It did have some adult themes, and I think that one of the bigger ones, too, as we discussed, because we do discuss things prior to filming, was the concept of nationalism. And I thought that was a really heavy thing, especially with David Harbour's character. And really,
especially Yelena too. I think Yelena's
that's true.
I think Yelena's like the big actual spotlight on that because
you think so?
But she was drugged.
Only because because like we said earlier, she they had a 3-year mission. Mm-hmm. She's 6, 7 maybe. So like we said earlier, she's pretty much Americanized.
That's true.
She'd have to be in the Red Room. She'd have to be trained. She's at this point, she's just a small kid who kind of maybe not grasp what's going on. What her family is doing. There in America, and
as Florence Pugh says, she thought her daddy was her hero.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, that's
but then also David Harbour and Red Guardian.
Yeah, and I think those are. It's an interesting time during times like this to explore something like that, I think, because
and Marvel's not missing those opportunities.
Especially going through, obviously, the situation that the world has gone through and the world continues to go through.
We're not talking about that.
So,
we can't ignore some of the politics. Look at Captain America and the Winter Soldier. That whole series hit a lot of those notes as well, and we can't avoid them because Marvel clearly wants to talk about them.
Well, yeah, I mean, anyone you can't not.
It's
they can't not. We cannot.
You have the platform for it right now. Speak. Your soapbox campaign is right in front of you.
I'm drinking beer and talking about Marvel, man.
But so anyway, that being said, let's dive into a couple of things that we liked about some characters in this movie, some of the action scenes, some of the other things that we enjoyed about this movie, some of the things that we didn't.
Yes.
Spoiler alert! I'm gonna throw this out there. Jack probably didn't like Taskmaster. All right. So coming to my point, like I said, I'm not trying to say that Scarlett Johansson is a bad actress. That's not my thing. That wasn't my takeaway. But Ghost in the Shell was a big letdown. I think a lot of people were really excited about the concept of that. I don't think. Having seen that movie, I just didn't think that she was going to be good enough to carry this movie.
And that got a lot of hate because they threw a white girl into it.
But that movie was a bad movie because you can't make a movie of anime.
And they proved that time and time again.
And they proved that time and time again.
We'll see what happens when Cowboy Bebop comes out. So anyway.
Oh, please no.
So
they're not doing that, are they?
They are. Netflix. God. Anyway, so the thing that I liked about this movie, they had a really good supporting cast around Scarlett Johansson. David Harbour.
I mean, quite honestly, the supporting cast is like the spotlight.
I think they were honestly as well. I mean, Florence Pugh, she was great. David Harbour. Rachel Weisz. I mean, this was like a fantastic group to support Scarlett Johansson.
Even Dragoff.
And I kept catching his Irish accent come through. I kept catching. He's trying to, and he did a pretty good Russian accent. But every now and then you can kind of catch the Irish.
Like, let's be honest, all of the Russian accents. It was a little bit. Hey.
But
who knows? Maybe that's why they had to take 2 years because ADR ain't on the Russian accent.
They're no Jodie Comer. Jodie Comer can kill a fucking Russian accent.
But yeah, I mean, I thought the supporting cast was good. I mean, I thought the characters played their roles very well. I definitely love the concept of just this kind of separation of family and then coming back as a family for one common goal, and then them realizing how really important their family was.
Yeah,
versus trying to take it away and create it as a separation.
And Florence Pugh saying, it was real to me.
Yeah, exactly.
It was an impactful moment.
And if you're a child growing up of say a broken family, parents of divorce, or just a family that maybe had some rough times, you can relate to that that scene where they're at the dinner table because everybody has their own bits of.
Their own version of
what happened. Exactly.
Perception of reality.
And you had David Harbour, who I think David Harbour, not Harper. Okay. He really did feel like their father, and you get that by him singing American Pie.
Which is
Yelena.
A fantastic scene.
Then you have Rachel Weisz, who's a little bit more.
I always said it that way because I always think that too. Rachel Weisz.
It's Rachel Weisz.
She really go that way?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm English.
She really go that way. She really go the German way.
No. Speaking. Actually, it might be Rachel Weisz. I don't know. I don't really know. I just always pronounce it that way.
Hashtag Rachel Weisz. Hit us up.
Let us know how to say it. Especially you, Rachel Weisz.
You know, she's very much like she's very much the matriarch of like, but very like, with best analogy I can think of is like Mr. Mom. Like David Harbour's Mr. Mom. She's the businesswoman, just like very on the keel.
That late 80s, she's got shoulder pads.
Yeah, she got shoulder pads.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking shoulder pads just derailed us.
Wait, what the fuck were we?
No, because I'm literally picturing the wife from Mr. Mom. But yeah, then you have Yelena, who's the youngest, who is like actually heartbroken because you even see it when they sit down. She starts slamming vodka.
Yeah.
You know, and then she gives a great performance in that scene, just laying it out there as being a kid who that happened to. Like I said earlier, she was fully Americanized, and this was the only life she really knew.
And this is not just very quickly.
Yeah.
This is not long after she just told her father on a plane in detail how the Red Room took her fucking uterus out.
Yeah.
And I was
cold-blooded too. Like
I was shocked. I was shocked, but wanted to clap. Like, fuck yeah! Don't hide. Like,
exactly. Don't hide.
ScarJo has already told us in other movies about that. In Age of Ultron, she talked about that to Mark Ruffalo, and they went into it like. This is, as you mentioned earlier, there's a lot of female empowerment here in this movie. And that's part of that, I think. Yeah, that's women saying, no, this, identifying fucking verbatim what happened to them. And I love that part.
And so I think before we get into
But that makes it hard.
No, for sure.
Before I think we get into some action scenes and things of that nature, one thing to note on that's funny is we're talking about these characters and we've gone into some depth with them, is it's kind of funny to think also about how Florence Pugh's character as Yelena is actually the one that was born in America, but she speaks Russian more than Scarlett Johansson. It kind of just shows that.
Well, she's still been in the Red Room.
But like her being taken away from where she was raised as being a kid with an American accent gets completely separated from that, and then ends up into an area where now she is fully fluent.
And she was so young when she was taken, where ScarJo was young Russian Red Room goes to America.
Well, Red Room. Young Red Room, Red Room.
Yeah,
sure.
And the cycle goes on,
and then goes to America, and speaks English, has the little family thing, thinking, "Ooh, this mission's dope," because I'm 12 years old or whatever, and I get to live in America, right? She that wasn't part of their cover. She was a little girl that wanted to do that, and then she got taken back to the Red Room, and it all sucked. But then she defects again to Shield, and she wanted to so fucking hard that she exploded a little girl, and she carried that with her. But it shows a lot about their arc that she doesn't want to speak Russian because she's like, no, I left that shit behind me.
Yeah. So going into that, I think the last character that we should touch on before we move into some action scenes and kind of get into a little bit more of what we feel about the movie, and then kind of get into the end of it. What did y'all think about Taskmaster?
I'm gonna let Jeff go last.
Yeah,
I think Taskmaster was cool, and I like the idea that in that scene where we find out that it's the daughter that we thought got blown up. It's Dreykov's daughter, the actual Dreykov's daughter. Ooh, weird.
I know.
And then that reveal, I was like, oh shit, that's the daughter. Oh no. And then the mask came off. I was like, oh fuck, it is. And that was a cool moment cinematically, storyline plot wise. She looks all fucked up and crazy, and she's all messed. It didn't even occur to me that she had the chemical crap going on the same as the rest of the widows.
Yeah.
That never even occurred to me until she hits her later and is able to clear her up, and she's all good. I thought she was just a really pissed off girl that got half her face fucking blown off and wanted to kill the girl that did that to her.
So I'm not going to have a lot to speak on this character because pretty much you summed up how I felt. The only thing I'm going to say is that honestly, when I was watching the movie, I really did think that was going to be Taskmaster. I literally
Dreykov's daughter.
Yeah, I went over to Assault and I was like, that's Taskmaster.
Yeah.
And she was like, what are you talking about? So, but other than that, I agree with pretty much everything that you said as far as the character. So I don't really have much to cover on this.
But I do. But before you get going though, we're going to stay on the good parts for a second. The fact that we're going to see her again.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
she's not a stepping stone villain.
All of her superpower comes
You're
from the fucking
learning.
mask and helmet and the little chip in the back of her neck, so she can still mimic and do the things and still be Taskmaster as we've seen her in this movie. Again, that's pretty cool. Which
So I really love Taskmaster as a character in the comics.
What?
Like, love Taskmaster.
Oh, I thought you said that.
Yeah,
I was like,
Curveball.
yeah. What's up, dude?
No, actually,
you in the ninth?
I'm gonna.
Bases
let me get there.
Two outs?
Let me get there. So I really love Taskmaster in the comics, and I've been saying since they revealed the first trailer, I was like, no, I want an accurate goddamn costume.
he's just pissed because it doesn't have the skull face.
No, like I wanted a full on like Willow skull face with like the white. I mean, you didn't have to be a white cape.
She's
but,
not
like
a
a blue. It's like weird blue super suit. Also, I kind of didn't like that. She walked like a robot the entire movie, like RoboCop.
She got blown up, Jeff.
But she also watches a lot of movies.
But I will say,
possibly RoboCop.
Probably. I will say,
her thing glitched when she was watching.
In my own brain, I called it like the second time they mentioned Dragoff's daughter. I was like, fucking Taskmaster, god damn it. It's not.
I'd seen these guys saw it.
Taskmaster.
I'm not very good at saying shit.
So anyway, I will say that I kind of thought, okay, like I get it. You know, you kind of have to make it a little bit more realistic to not have just a guy who has powers that. Because I mean, the reason I like Taskmaster in the comics is because he started out as a Shield agent, and sorry, I cannot remember his actual secret identity right now. He started out as a Shield agent, but had the ability to he had photo reflective memory, so he can mimic anybody's power set and move set. Well, not power set, but move set.
So it's actually a superpower?
Yeah, it's actually a superpower. So but the
yeah.
problem is that it always takes away a part of his own memory. Ooh. So because he's mimicked so many superheroes,
Don't know who the fuck he is.
He doesn't know who the fuck he is.
That's crazy.
And there's been really, really good storylines about Taskmaster. That's why I love Taskmaster. And he's typically more of he's kind of a Skeletor cackling villain sometimes.
Yeah.
But he's also morally in the gray. Like he's never really truly villainous. He's like Deadpool or other characters that I'm not going to think of right now. Like he's more of a merc. He just kind of is.
Yeah.
No, he's just.
Wasn't that Taskmaster in the Spider-Man video game?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think fun fact. I just read today that the first time Deadpool spoke to the writers of his comic was he was trying to find Taskmaster.
Yeah.
He wouldn't know where the fuck Taskmaster was.
And then he beat him manacled. I remember that comic. So now that being said, I did like the way they went with it. It was actually a cool way. I kind of, I was like, I get it. Like, you can't really do. You could do photo reflective memory, whatever the fuck it's called. It's a weird power. You could do that, but like, it's cool to do it with, what you doing?
Catching the ball, catching your curveballs.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Just trying to figure out the signals. I'm like, which one we're gonna go with?
But it would be cool to do, but it'd be kind of like hard to explain. But so I like that it's clearly like a visor, the chip, and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And it was great to get a payoff for that one little line in Avengers, Dragoff's daughter. Can you really wipe out that much? Like you get an explanation of this one line that 10 fucking years ago, right? That everyone forgot about.
Would finally have some relevance.
Yeah. And who knows, the mask and the chip could have the mask and the chip and perhaps the explosion. It exploded. Could very well have made her like the comics Taskmaster. And who knows?
Which is a good point. That is actually.
The visor might just be a little bit more of like just sort of a weird tech thing. Mm-hmm. And
she could have got dropped off with Weapon X.
They did have one good point though that they did there that I thought was kind of funny, which is kind of where I thought that it was going that way was when one of the Black Widows was putting, she's sitting there and he's injecting the, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, whatever it was.
The
key.
The Matrix into the back of her head. She clearly didn't take the blue pill
or whatever. The Matrix of leadership.
But then she's like, smile on the mask. And I was kind of like, that's kind of a little giveaway.
And he's also watching, she is watching, I think it was Black Widow's fight scene from Iron Man 2. In the hallway.
Oh, was that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Really?
All right. Yeah. So, with that being said, we take breaks, and we tell you that we're taking breaks. So we're taking a break right now
because we're
having cigarettes. Because you know why? One, it's hot in here, but two, we cannot smoke on camera. We can't. But we'll be right back.
This is fucking family.
Right now, like, Andy, are you present? Go.
Also part of the intro.
3, 4. All right, let's do a thumb war.
We're done doing
around.
this.
All right, 1, 2, 3, 4.
You can't nod
Declare
at this
thumb
point.
war. This is not fair because your hands are much bigger than mine.
You got giant fucking hands, right?
No.
Oh, tag team.
Oh, no, that's not fair. All right, so we're back here to talk about basically, I guess, some of the action scenes, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this.
Go ahead.
I thought the action was great. I loved a lot of the fight choreography. Thought it was really well done. But I wasn't a huge fan of this, this tower in the sky falling down. And for some reason, the only people that don't get hit are Yelena and obviously
It's called
Natasha.
plot armor. It's called
Plot armor, is that a thing? I mean, okay. And
it's also a fucking comic book movie.
Have
you been watching the last 12 years?
No,
I
will say this. The cool thing about the action is because it was minus Red Guardian, it was basically all just like unsuperpowered people.
Yeah.
They're just kicking each other's ass. Like, I mean, the best fight scene is the one between Yelena and Natasha in the kitchen, like because they're mirroring each other so well because they were.
And there's angst there.
And there's angst there. Well, we fought.
Yeah.
Siblings fight, and there's angst. And you get like they're. It's the first time they've seen each other in. As Josh said, Scarlett Johansson's apparently 47 years old.
Since 1995.
Hey!
Since
1990.
No. Since 1995.
Since 1990.
So it's been what 25 years. I mean, I don't know
30
exactly
years,
where the timeline is. No, because this takes place
pre-Endgame.
Pre-Endgame, like a
pre-Infinity War,
like a week after the battle at the airport in Civil War.
Yeah.
Like this takes place and they actually make a very, very good point about establishing that. This is like literally probably a week after. And then
it opens up with her on the hunt.
Yeah,
she's on the lamb. They are hunting.
Yeah.
They're hunting the lamb.
There you go. They're hunting the lamb.
But let me ask you a question in regards to the fight scenes.
Anyways, I'm just saying it's probably like what, just about 30
years,
23 years, something like that.
So you got these guys that are blindly following somebody who they might possibly believe is dead because their fortress is falling, and they're like, oh, you know what, like, fuck it, instead of saving our own lives, we'll just jump out and go attack them and just get hit by falling debris left and right. Like,
they were drugged.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
Yeah, that's what everybody that fucking works for drunk.
Clearly, I wasn't paying attention to the movie. I thought it only worked on women.
So,
wow, that's being cut.
It's called hysteria.
That's just what I thought. I didn't know that they were also drugged.
It must be.
They didn't make that reference in the movie, so how am I supposed to know that?
They do make that, like, because Natasha doesn't have it, but she can't hit him because of his pheromones.
They make that guy come to another guy's pheromones and be like, hey.
They kind of really sexual.
I can't hit you because you're wearing Old Spice swagger.
Dude, again,
she has to fucking smash her.
That was one of the things that was like, yeah, we could say it was women empowerment, but like there was a lot of misogyny going on. Like, I mean,
But women empowerment, she Jim Carreyed her face onto the fucking table.
Because he couldn't get her there.
Yeah, because he couldn't get her there.
Like, literally, like that's the line. That's the line. I'm not wrong.
You couldn't.
You couldn't
do it.
It's basically the line.
You couldn't do it, so I'm gonna have to finish it off.
Yeah. Like a little bit of a lady orgasm joke.
But then she goes, hut, hut.
Yeah.
Like Jim Carrey.
And then you know what happens when the fortress is falling? She's like, "Do not go in there." Woo! Woo! Like,
but yeah, so the dudes were drugged. The dudes were drugged too. So they just, I got the feel that the Black Widows weren't drugged. And then he learned that technology because Milena gave it to him, and then they are all now.
Yeah.
And not just the Black Widows. Anybody that fucking works for Dreykov are going to be drugged.
Yeah. Or worst case scenario, if it's, if you want to go down the misogyny route, the dudes that are like his guards are just, blind faith. Like,
nationalism.
Yeah,
nationalism.
Yeah, the nationalism.
That's true.
They still think the Soviet Russia is going to get up. Oh, fight scenes. I'm going to go next.
Go ahead.
Just so that I can talk about Yelena calling her poser.
Yes.
That's so good.
Yes.
Not exactly a fight scene thing, but...
That's still a fight scene.
The
It's
humor
the thing they do when they fight.
I mean, some of we haven't really talked about the humor is fantastic. Like,
the humor's great. And Florence Pugh's humor, it's that little sister humor, but she's wittier.
Yeah.
And she hits her with the pose thing, and then later does it, and it fucking cracked me up. It was so good. Mm-hmm. And, hey, Pugh... amazing on the pose. You look good. Look really good on the pose there.
And the thing is too with Yelena, she's so indoctrinated into to the Red Room and everything, and being a widow, that literally like she's still a kid in her brain. Like she hasn't lived a real life. She hasn't grown up.
Well, and there's dialogue to support that.
Yeah.
So we got ScarJo in the first Avengers saying, "You know I have" to Clint's, "Do you know what it's like to be unmade?"
Yeah.
Now Florence saying, "Your shit was psychological. Mine was chemical.
Yeah.
You have no idea what I've been through."
And also the conversation about the vest. She says, "This is the first piece of clothing I've ever bought for myself," and that's like a great scene just because it's hilarious.
And it sets up this vest that goes on into
this vest that I didn't think I cared about.
Yeah.
Now I care about it.
Now it's an Infinity War, and it's a whole fucking thing, and it has all the pockets,
which is well placed.
Yeah.
You know, well placed, because if you think about those movies that we've seen prior to this movie, you're like, oh, just think it costume change. You know what I mean? But now it's like they put some kind of what you guys were alluding to. Is like they put some gravity behind that situation.
Yeah.
Make it
a little bit of a
relevant.
weight,
And I think that's great to actually see those things come to fruition. It's like, it's kind of like that, you know, when you're watching a show and they tell a joke and you're like, oh, I don't get that. And then they revisit it and you're like, all right.
And running jokes. Or
Arrested Development.
Yeah, exactly.
And I went home last night after we left the theaters, and I watched a bit of Infinity War. I didn't know I wasn't going to sit and watch the whole thing.
You just wanted to see the vest.
I wanted to see the vest, and sure as shit, when Proxima Midnight and Dickhead are fighting Vision and Wanda.
You didn't watch much of it. That's the end.
No, that's not the end. When they go to get fucking Vision and Wanda, they go to get the stone, and then Cap shows up on the other side of the train. And then here comes ScarJo coming in, wearing that vest and the short bob blonde hair. And it was like, oh. So I watched it kind of just to see that moment and that little bit. And then, of course, I got sucked in. I watched about 45 minutes of it.
I mixed it up when I thought you had said that she was fighting with Scarlet.
No, in wherever Prague or wherever they were.
Yeah, in Prague.
I know, it looked like Prague.
Bruges or whatever. Now let's before we get into our final thoughts, let's get into the end credit scene.
Yes.
The post-credit scene.
Yeah, post-credit scene.
One real quick thing I just do want to say, I wish there was a little bit more explanation on like how the hell Natasha got out of that situation. Because Thunderbolt Ross coming in.
Oh no! Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That was my first thing that bummed me out when we walked out of the theater.
Maybe that it's like she cut a deal with Ross to be like, look, I'll keep an eye on Steve. Let me go.
Okay.
I'll keep an eye on him.
Mm-hmm. Because she does say in Infinity War to Vision and Wanda, she said, we had a deal. You guys were supposed to keep in contact. And Wanda says,
that's true.
We just wanted a little bit of time. And so she's got a deal. She's got a deal with Ross. And then the next time she sees Ross is them all walking in.
Because she did sign the Sokovia Accords.
Yeah.
So she must have just cut a deal.
But they were coming after her because T'Challa told them what she did.
Which I don't think T'Challa said anything.
No, T'Challa did. Fucking Robert Downey Jr. said T'Challa told Ross what you did. They're going to be coming for you.
You're right.
Actually, watch Marvel's Legends on Disney Plus.
You're right.
There's a new one for Black Widow. I meant
to watch that today. You are correct. But let's go into the.
But that part still doesn't make sense.
It's kind of cut it right there.
I thought it was great. I think that for Marvel fans,
for comic book fans,
sorry. I think it would have been interesting to see this be the first time that you get Valentina introduced.
Yeah.
Because I really don't think that you would have the grasp of who her character is, because obviously in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, she does her full name. And in this particular scene, you only get her first name.
Yeah.
And so...
Almost like a Nick Fury first time he showed up.
Exactly.
Name.
Yeah,
and you're right. It would have been a little bit more of a, like, who's that person?
Who's that person? And
then make us sit on our hands for a year.
Which I think is it would have been great. But also, this scene was great in its own right. I mean, I think, obviously her showing Yelena that, like, hey, Hawkeye is the guy, the reason why your sister's dead, like the reason why you're visiting this gravestone, was a great
gravestone
scene.
Under a tree with flowers like her mother.
With the peach blossoms, like where she found her mother, which I thought was also a great scene.
Said
unknown. but
then her tombstone says friend, sister Avenger.
So I thought it was a really good scene. But again, I think that I thought it would have been better done had it came out prior to Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Because I love what Marvel does with introducing these characters, and unless you're somebody who reads the comic books, what it really does is it makes you try to research, like, who is this person? Like Valentina. So you search up like on Wikipedia or whatever, Google Marvel Valentina,
Marvel
and then you have to like find out who this character is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's kind of the fun that the Marvel Universe has done. You know, to bring up a poorly made movie, when they did X-Men Apocalypse. So prior to Apocalypse, at the end they have I'm gonna fuck up his name, but Ensaba Noor. And they have him at the end of the credit scene.
Yeah, with
and
the Four Horsemen.
With the Four Horsemen, and he's building the pyramids.
Yeah, and then they made the worst movie ever.
And the thing is, which absolutely, but
sorry, Oscar Isaac, I love you, but
that'll be another.
And that's not really Oscar Isaac's fault. They made him out of
But when they show that end scene in that movie, Days of Future Past, he's building these pyramids just based off his powers alone, and they're saying like Ensaba Noor, they're like worshiping it, and you're like, well, if you have no idea who this character is, you're gonna look that up.
Of course,
I love those like planting of the seeds for things to create into something bigger.
Well, I think
this would have been good had had it came out first.
And again, it would have been you're right, because it would have been like, who's this? Because she just says Val in this one, like she just says Val, and
which fun. I don't know if anybody else picked up on this. She didn't. I can't remember what it was, but she didn't want U.S. Agent saying her name.
Yeah.
And then Yelena's basically able to just fuck call her.
Well, because it's clear that like she's been working for her for a minute.
Yeah.
So Andy, what did you think was going to happen? Tell me what you thought was going to happen.
So okay, no. I didn't think it was going to happen. It made my heart pound a little bit. So right before the credits, as Yelena and ScarJo are saying goodbye, she does the.
You're going to say the whistle to each other.
The whistle to each other. Fuck
I mean, you can also try it though.
The call and response. The call and response whistle. Then they go to credits, and she goes to the tombstone and does the call. And I sat there, my heart started pounding. I was like, "Oh fuck, is he gonna respond? Are we gonna hear a?" And then ScarJo, "Oh my god, what does that mean?" And I was like, "The theater's gonna fucking explode." And then they didn't do it. I didn't think they were gonna do it, but it felt such like a setup.
Yeah, for sure.
And then it just yanked it out from under me. I was like, "Oh, you bastards!"
Yeah.
But I liked that because I feel like it's going to set up some cool shit with Yelena going to find Ronan now, Hawkeye Ronan.
Yeah.
And
which they've already
the picture that she shows her is him as Ronan.
Yeah, they've already confirmed that she is going to be in the Hawkeye show,
and she's now our Black Widow. She's our new Black Widow.
They confirmed that a year ago.
They're gonna chat some stuff out, and Homeboy's gonna say, "Hey, this is how it went down," and it's gonna make sense to her because she's a thinking person. We have actual characters in the MCU, fuck the DCU, and that it'll be. I think that's gonna play out fairly well. It's gonna be fun, and
he's not wrong.
It'll be interesting.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, and
it'll be interesting to see how that plays. It was a cool scene that gave a send off to Scarlett Johansson.
You got a real send off.
A real send off. We saw Tombstone. It was emotional, and then you get, where are we directing the new Black Widow?
I was actually hoping
to Black Widow's old best friend.
I will real quickly say this. It would have been really cool to have it be Clint there. To not have to not set up the thing that I'm going to talk about.
But then they wouldn't have.
I'm going to talk about real quick. But it would have been cool to have Clint be there, and him just visiting his grave, and maybe having that moment of like, who was she to you, like hero or whatever, hero Avengers, and she was my sister, and then he goes, I was her best friend, or something like that. But what we're getting, what we're setting up that we've talked about in our Falcon and Winter Soldier episode was
he's right.
It's Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts. I mean Thundercats. No. Right?
We're setting up the new Avengers and the Thunderbolts. I'm sorry, Young Avengers and Thunderbolts.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it would...
Like that's tried the new Avengers.
That's the thing that I think is going to be good about this, like the MCU going forward, is like exploring these possibilities of... You've already explored these things that have made the MCU so great, and now you get to explore these other aspects that people might not know about.
Yeah. And
really dive deep into these. And there's some really good storylines in these to like really... make some good cinematic universe out of, So it's an exciting time for the MCU. As a fan, I did not see him going this way, but you have been absolutely right on every single thing you've said, and that's why we're not friends Really? No, I'm just kidding. That's why we're doing this.
Right.
But that being said, let's get into it. So you want me to
Monkeys.
start with the monkeys?
Yeah, you go with the monkeys.
With the monkeys, I am going to go with 10 out of 12 for
10 out of 12
Black
movies.
Widow.
Okay.
One thing that I was not really fond of is starting in the movie. Why do we just have all these ass shots? Scarlett Johansson. You know,
Because Scarlett Johansson's
I'm picking up a gasoline canister and oh, here we go. Like
because and by the way,
cheesy,
So one guy in the
America.
theater that went, why are they showing Scarlett Johansson's butt so much?
But because it's
Look.
anti to what that movie was supposed to be.
I want to know what Colin Jost is hitting.
So
True. Now he makes a good point though, because I actually just saw an article where ScarJo got into a whole thing about how she was objectified before and now isn't, and now you're saying
I don't think it was.
I don't know that she was objectified.
I don't
just
really
they did some scenes that I thought were questionable, but that's fine. I don't care.
fine,
It's
fair
it's
Hey, you know, she got out to a
But-
she could have been wearing Daisy Dukes.
But that being said,
sweats.
this movie was
She
great.
could've.
It was enjoyable. Again, like supporting cast, in my opinion, is really what carried this movie though. And seeing the supporting cast and seeing the actors and actresses they brought in to help Scarlett Johansson in this movie gives me the utmost faith in where the Marvel universe is going to continue to go. You know, with their shows and with their movies. I mean, I think it was great. So,
You know.
Monkeys. I love monkeys. I'm gonna go ahead and give this. Just occurred to me I hadn't really put a whole lot of thought in it.
Okay.
So I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna go 10 and a half.
oh, we can't. Half monkeys is such a hard thing to do when we're editing this video. You don't know that, but he does.
I'm
It's
gonna give
funny
it.
when you do it.
I'm gonna give, okay.
I'll go when I do it.
I'll give you a
10
nice,
and a half.
I'll give you a nice even number, 10 monkeys. And notice that I had 10 and a half. I could have gone either way. I didn't go up to 11. 11, I'm going to reserve. 12 is like a fucking perfect movie. Endgame. 11 is a goddamn amazing movie. 10 is a really good movie. I don't have anything really bad to say about this movie other than the General Ross part at the end. She's like, she's turning herself in, but then immediately after that, she's hiring a helicopter from her secret fella.
Which again, it's
to
just
go break out her friends from General.
a thing you
That
didn't
was
have
a-
to see.
It was a weird thing that she didn't, But other than that, the movie was, as an MCU movie goes, it was damn near flawless. It had a good plot line. It moved along well. Great action. The acting was good. The score was good. That there was all kinds of great stuff. They put them in different locations.
Yeah, location
There
filming
was,
was great.
it was
It really
amazing.
was.
And it was funny during the credits. I went, "Fuck! They actually shot that in Morocco. Fuck!
That's-
They actually
that's-
shot that in."
That's funny. I was
Budapest."
talking to Assault about the same thing. I was looking at as the end credits come down. I'm like, oh shit, they shot that in Norway.
Wow.
Oh wow, they shot that in Morocco. I was like, oh wow, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, I was like, this must have been a big budget fucking film
They did a lot
because
of
like,
shooting,
right?
like a lot of in location filming, and that's something that's a rarity to see in films nowadays.
Yeah.
So it's good to see like, you want to make that
Not
as,
trying to make Vancouver look like a
exactly right.
Right.
You're like, oh, or like when they try to do.
whatever.
Off topic,
topic.
but when they try to make in The Dark Knight Rises, they try to make L.A. look like
Like LA and Chicago.
yeah, to make it look
No, it
like
was the bird. It was the bird.
yeah.
Oh, no,
And
sorry,
you're-
it's Pittsburgh.
And you're like, come on, man, like so.
Yeah.
But I do agree with that.
But it-
with you on that.
yeah,
It's
so it was-
great to see that.
it
Like
was for the
actual
most
location
part-
filming is great.
For the most part, like you say, flawless film. It just wasn't, the end all be all top thing. Like, and it's gonna be here on out. It's gonna be really fucking hard to do that. We live in a world where Endgame exists. We live in a world where the movies that led up to Endgame exist, and we've seen that rise and that trajectory in the cinematic story they're trying to tell, and culminate in this amazing fucking thing. Now we're getting into a new saga, and we have to, as fans, as the audience,
Iron Man 2.
yeah, exactly. We have to meter our expectations, but they're fucking nailing it.
No, for sure.
With
What are you saying? You didn't like Mickey Rourke?
with 3 shows and what they did, and so 10 out of 12 monkeys. Good on you, kids.
I'm going to give it 9 out of 12 monkeys.
Oh.
And here are my reasons.
Figure.
1, it wasn't really a Black Widow movie. You keep saying
was not.
you keep saying supporting cast
Because it was
an ensemble film, and quite honestly, David Harbour and Florence Pugh, not just because I love Florence Pugh, stole the fucking movie.
Absolutely.
It quickly became not the Black Widow story. It became the Yelena story. And I don't think we're gonna get much more David Harbour.
But she's the new Black Widow, and so it's
also yes, but that's the thing. Like it was her origin story. I don't think we're gonna get much more David Harbour.
I don't think so as well.
Holy shit! I didn't think about it that way. If you really craft it that way, it wasn't our final Black Widow movie. It was our first Black Widow movie. Yeah. It was an origin story.
Well, I mean, no matter which way you cut it, it's our first Black Widow movie.
Fair enough. I'm saying it wasn't the final of the Black Widow that we know. It's the origin story of the Black Widow.
Which piece of the cake are you eating? 100%. This side or this side? Doesn't matter. The cake's still there.
Again, to kind of go back to what I said earlier, I don't exactly think it was worth the wait. Yeah. I think we could have gotten this. Maybe they could have released it like maybe around the time they released Falcon Winter Soldier. Maybe not before WandaVision, but like in between that.
Yeah.
They could have started Disney Plus. I understand why. Again, it's a big spectacle movie.
They fall out of a giant flying.
It's basically the first in this phase, the first actual movie in this phase. So I get why they didn't want to do it, but I think it just wasn't worth the wait. Like again, a lot of commentators and podcasters that I listen to go, we've lost interest now. Like the hype's gone, and I actually got really hyped again. I was like, my hype got back up like in the last few weeks. But again, it was just because it was, it had just sort of, we kept getting like, oh, it's going to be released here. It's going to be released here. And it was like, okay, yeah, I'm set.
I just knew it was always going to eventually show.
But other than that, I thought it was great that we finally got an answer to what happened in Budapest. Mm-hmm. We got a final answer about Dragov's daughter. Mm-hmm. It was a really good send-off to Scarlett Johansson. Now, you kind of fucked up our order of watching the MCU. But it's okay. The Hulk already did that anyway. But yeah, so I'm just 9 out of 12.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap this episode up. Let us know what you guys thought about this movie. Leave some comments there in the comments section. Make sure to subscribe. Also, let us know how you guys felt if you guys went back to the movies, how you guys felt going back to the movies, back to the movies.
Right.
It was an amazing experience for us. We enjoyed it. It was such a good time. I don't know if you guys clearly don't know us, but this was something that we used to do on the regular, and we just couldn't be more excited to go back to the movies, see movies back in the theaters again. And with that being said, I think we're going to do the same sign out that we came in with the sign in.
Let's do it, because I'm sweating. What do you all think? I'm sweating like a freaking whore in church.
Drunk Signing out.
Signing out.